and welcome to the final episode of Festival Forum. We're really honored to have a documentary here, a documentary of great importance that we believe at the festival is of great importance. Romeo is Bleeding. We have Michael, Jason, the producer, and we're very, very honored to have Mr. Dante Clark, the subject of the film. So first and foremost, you guys just landed here from San Francisco at your world premiere. Tell me about that. Give me a little.
Yeah, well, last night at El Cerrito High School, we had the world premiere of the film, and that was really special because El Cerrito High School is a featured location in our movie. So we were able to pack the house with 600 people, a large amount of them from Richmond, California, to show them what we've been working on this whole time, and it was a really nice poetic closure to this circle, this whole journey that we've been on.
So tell us, before I get into Dante, because that's what we're here for. I mean, but before we get into Dante, tell me about when you first heard of what Dante was doing and about Raw Talent, and tell me what the genesis of that was.
Yeah.
And what you wanted to create.
Yeah, so this goes back to my cousin, who is an amazing young woman. She moved to Richmond about 7 or 8 years ago, and she was teaching English at an after-school program. And at this after-school program, she ran into Dante, who at the time was a senior in high school, and conventional education, I would say, wasn't really working out for you. And she introduced him to poetry. And with very little training from Molly, my cousin, Dante became a monster poet, a poet that I really respect and admire. And I'd been following his work from afar for a while as I kind of got my filmmaking skills under my belt. And then my cousin came up to me at my grandma's 80th birthday party and said, "You're not going to believe what Dante's doing." And she started to describe to me that he was adapting Romeo and Juliet to fit Richmond, California, and use it as a tool to discuss a turf war that's been happening in Richmond for generations between North Richmond and Central Richmond, the two African-American neighborhoods. And the whole thing just sounded so inspiring and so cinematic that I knew I had to make this project.
So then you want to make the project, but you have a funding problem.
Right.
First, I mean, it's all about money, It costs money to make the project. Tell the people out there about sort of the approach that you guys took. I mean, this whole crowdfunding sort of campaign is fairly new to people that haven't seen it, but in motion picture, it's out there. And tell how that worked, maybe from a producer's point of view.
Well, ironically, Jason started this project before I was even on board. I was actually technically the first person to donate to the Kickstarter campaign. We've known each other forever.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like
you just got you
get to be producer. No. But I'm sure that helped. We went to college together to film school, and so Jason showed that to me, and I was the same way that we got support from the community. Like, that's what hooked me. And basically, Jason put together a little sizzle. He went up there for a few weeks, put something together, and we had a few hundred backers make it possible, and that's what got us through most of production and got us to the point that we were able to film enough to write grants, and we had a lot of support from a lot of amazing organizations. But the crowdfunding was really what kickstarted it all, and the Kickstarter community. It was successful and was really an interesting thing, and started even just our fan base.
So, Dante, you're seeing a lot of problems in your neighborhood. You find the spoken word poetry. I've probably watched every video of Bringing the Noise, checking out Raw Talent. What was your decision making in terms of, I got to make a change where in that the pen is mightier than the sword?
For me, I always had writing. Since I was younger, it was something about writing I just liked to do. I didn't really like to read as much. I just liked to write. But I didn't really take it serious until I got older, when I had to write in order to heal myself. It was a lot of things I was going through personally, and nobody at the time really understood what I was going through, and I was a shy person to talk about it, so I just wrote it. And once I shared my writing and a lot of people was inspired by it or started crying from it, it was like, okay, I have the ability to touch people. And losing a lot of people to the streets and to the bullet, to the jail cells, to drugs, it was like, okay, that's not where I want to go, because there is no exit out plan in the streets. But with this writing, I can talk about what I seen in the streets, and that can get me further. So I ran with that to see where it was going to take me.
How personal is it for you in terms of writing Taste Harmony? I mean, you've adapted Romeo and Juliet, that's been around for hundreds of years. How personal was it? I mean, I was seeing an area where there's like the balcony scene, but it takes place at a Target, you know? So tell me about your creative process about going through that, because even with that, you had to change the words, you had to change the dialogue to what you've grown up with and what you've seen, so that Richmond can relate to what's going on. Tell me about that process.
That was an interesting process, but first I had to understand what was going on in Romeo and Juliet, and once I read through it, I watched both of the movie versions of it. I was like, it's a lot up in here that I'm not going to be able to capture within in our story, because what Shakespeare did was powerful. It was a lot of I'm like, we ain't gonna be able to do all of that. And the point was to make sure that people who come from where I come from can understand it anyways. So what I did was I read through it and got the meat of what was happening, and then I just said, okay, this took place in the supermarket when they first start off the scene, the Capulets and the Montagues rumbling, groceries flying everywhere. I'm like, well, where could we put our people? We gonna say at the Kaiser Hospital, somewhere that we know that both parties will be at. The Target scene, that came about because I thought it'd be funny. I'm like, in Richmond, we don't really have too many balconies, you know, so I'm like, well, where? Yeah, so I'm like, where would it be funny to see this scene take place? And I'm like, you know, she going in the Target looking through clothes, and he's hiding through the racks, staring at her, and then he recites this poem, and then she's thinking about him too, and then she sees him, and then he ducks, and they chase each other around. It's like, hey. Yeah, I just thought it'd be funny on stage, and if somebody was reading it, and just to have that Target, it stands out more than a typical balcony scene, because you would expect that. Right. So I wanted to do something that it's like, Target.
But it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen the DiCaprio version, you know, when he's like, unleash your sword, sir, but the brand name is called Sword, you know? Yeah. And you kind of get that feel like, this is a little modern take to it. How personal was this to you, and why was this important to you?
This is personal to me because I come from North Richmond. Like, I was raised out there. I was actually raised all across Richmond, Parchester, Central Richmond, South Richmond, but most of North Richmond is where I spend most of my time. And a lot of my students is from Central. Like, the one that plays Harmony, Denise Robinson, she's from Central Richmond. And so telling this story is personal to me. And on Taste Harmony, we use the name Godfrey's. My grandmother is a Godfrey. Okay. So me calling myself Tay Godfrey is a representation of this personal to me. I lost friends, and one of the scenes where Romeo loses his best friend Mercutio when Tybalt stabs him. Mm-hmm. Well, in Tay's Harmony, they at the mall, and we call him T.Y., and Mercutio is Gemini. When Gemini gets killed and falls in Tay's arms, I was picturing, I wasn't there for none of my friends who got killed, but I was imagining what it was like for my brothers and my cousins to witness my friend who got killed and had to hold them and take them to the hospital. And so I put myself in that frame of mind, like, what would I have done if I was to be there to watch that? Because I heard them tell me what it was like. So it was personal for me all through the film. To have a pops that's an OG in the neighborhood, well respected. I come from that. To have friends who trying to get me to hustle like them, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I come from that. Like, it was kind of like me showing my life on the stage to a lot of people who didn't really understand me. So it was real.
As a filmmaker, Jason, what was your approach into making this documentary? I know a lot of times you're like, but you know, documentarians are like, how am I going to? I'm going to shoot a lot of footage. I'm going to have hundreds of hours of behind the scenes. And how do you tackle something like that and say, I got to find the story in here?
Well, there was a lot of really great assets that we had going into this project. First of all, a really charismatic, inspiring leading man. but also all the artwork that the students are producing these are amazing artists. These are profound poets. And we also had the framework of Romeo and Juliet to work with. What surprised me when I arrived in Richmond, I went because I was interested in Dante, but the entire story of Richmond, California is fascinating. This is a city that built the majority of the U.S. Navy during World War II. It's a uniquely American place. And in the generations since World War II, a lot of the infrastructure has sort of fallen away, and these neighborhoods have, gotten to the point where it is unsafe to be a young person in North Richmond.
Or for that matter, in the United States, as it is right now. I mean, you look at what's happening in a lot of the, low-income areas are being very disgruntled right now of what's going on in the U.S.
So I looked at Richmond as a microcosm for all sorts of inner cities across the country, and so now there's this deeper narrative that you can put on top of what Dante's doing and on top of what Shakespeare did with Romeo and Juliet. So you've got the in-the-moment story of these students trying to produce a play, but you've also got his personal journey as a community leader and an activist and an artist. So when you start to layer all these narratives on top of each other, that's when things start getting really interesting.
So you go in as an approach to, I'm going to do an expose on one person that changes, one person changes, then it comes out to, I'm changing a community in terms of, that's...
You have the narrative of the individual, you have the narrative of the community, and you have the narrative of just these larger systematic issues in America.
Sure.
And when you can figure out how to pair them together, that's when it transcends and it becomes hopefully a great film.
What were some of the technical challenges of making this project?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing was trying to figure out the best way to cinematically do justice to the art of the students. We were dealing with artists and poets, and so we needed to make a poetic film. And so, we used all the resources available to us to, move the camera in different ways. We used drones, we used a jib, we used handheld, we used sliders, we used everything. And so, it was less of a technical thing as much as just an artistic challenge because we had big shoes to fill.
Right.
Yeah.
Dante, what's next for you? Where are you going to take this passion of yours next?
I hope to take it across the world, but first I wanted to just build on myself, because I feel like a lot of times I was trying to change the community, but what was I doing for myself? You got to be that example. And let that shine. So right now I'm just working on me artistically, spiritually, and I want to keep producing. I also write music, more plays, film. I teach poetry workshops, just everything. I just want to create and put it out there into the world, and not trying to change nobody, but just express myself. And hopefully while watching me grow, you grow with me in the process. So, and let that be what it is.
Without raw talent and the support that you had, do you think you'd be in a different place? Or what is the message to others that think they're desperate? What is the message, the ultimate message that you want to tell other people about that have given up?
I want to tell them that without raw talent, without finding what works for me to express myself in a healthy way, I would have been in the streets, or I would have been dead a long time ago. So finding what works for me and pursuing that, and being open to going to open mics and meeting new people and going new places that was uncomfortable. Sometimes in order to grow, you got to be put in an uncomfortable situation to see how you can mature from that, and taking those lessons and those failures and applying that, and just, I say don't give up. It's always people out there who care about you. Everybody has a gift, no matter who you are or where you come from. You got a gift. You just got to tap into it and then express that and find people who can help nurture that.
That's well said. Jason, you're here at the Newport Beach Film Festival. What does it mean to you to be here to have your film screening over at the Newport Beach Film Festival?
We're really excited to be here at Newport Beach. Michael and I are based in Los Angeles, and to have an opportunity to bring it to the Southland and have so many people who have supported us personally and otherwise throughout this process, finally get to share the project with them in a really grand scale, in a movie theater, the way that this film is meant to be seen. Just couldn't be more excited to have it
What's
here.
the best thing you like about just Newport Beach in general?
Oh, man.
Is it the beaches, is it the sunshine? I mean, I don't know.
It's a total like getaway when I live in Koreatown, Los Angeles, so like I come down to Newport Beach and I'm like, I feel like I'm on vacation right now. So, I like that about Newport Beach personally.
So what's next for the film? Where do you guys plan on just hitting the festival circuit?
Yeah, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so we started our festival run last night, and we will continue with that. I think actually a new festival was announced today.
Right.
We're going to be at Seattle International Film Festival coming up. But yeah, festivals, and then hopefully getting it out to the whole world.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to try to do a big educational outreach with this film. I mean, we believe that there's real power here to, like Dante was saying, everybody has a gift, and we should encourage students to go and find what theirs is. So we're getting ready to develop an educational outreach.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, we have a trailer of Romeo is Bleeding. Let's cut to the trailer. You guys take a look.
We finna take a Shakespearean play, rewrite it, and make it fit Richmond.
From ancient grudge break to new mutiny. Will civil blood make civil hands unclean? Who gon' protect the children? Richmond is on fire, and Lord knows we all burn.
Purpose of the play is to address the problem that's been going on in Richmond, California.
Last weekend, we had a shooting every night, and one night we had 2 shootings. So we have a gang problem, and we need to address the gang problem.
So we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed the clip of Romeo is Bleeding. Definitely check it out. Where can we find more information about the film?
You can go to romeosbleedingfilm.com. We're also on facebook.com/RisbyFilm, and on Twitter @RisbyFilm. That's RISB Film.
Great. Thank you guys for stopping by. We really do appreciate it. And now we're going to show you closing night at the Newport Beach Film Festival.
The 16th annual Newport Beach Film Festival may be coming to the end of its week-long run, but we have an exciting night in store. We are here at Lido Live for the closing night film, No Stranger Than Love. The cast and crew is coming down the red carpet, and right after the screening of the film, it's off to the fantastic closing night gala here at the 2015 Newport Beach Film Festival. We're here on the red carpet at Lido Live for the premiere of the closing night film, No Stranger Than Love. And we are joined by the director, Nick Wareham. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's a beautiful night here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by. So now I hear this is your first feature film that you're directing. Is that true?
It is, yes.
Exciting. So tell us a little bit about the script when you read it. What made you want to embark on this particular script as your first feature film kind of directing experience?
Thematically, it was very interesting to me. It deals with, I guess, how strange love can be, and also how a person needs to grow to a certain point in order to be ready to truly love somebody else. And as somebody who I've thankfully have a very loving relationship with my family. I don't know that I've ever been in love in a romantic sense before. I found that very interesting to I guess try to learn a little bit about what love means to me, and I think over the course of the film, making the film, I have. So, it's yeah.
And how about the sort of sci-fi or kind of fantasy aspect of the storyline? How does that kind of tie in?
I think the whole represents the unknown, and about how in a lot of cases it's when the unknown enters into your life that you begin to understand yourself and find some new meaning in your life, and also it just functions as a nice plot device that pulls people together and pushes others apart in an interesting way. So
absolutely, it does sound very interesting. Were there any challenges that you ran into, kind of directing a feature instead of shorts, or anything else you might have been a part of?
Well, everything was so new. Every single day I encountered things that were very fresh, but the biggest thing might have just been the grind of making a feature. When you're doing a short, it's only a few days or perhaps a little more than a week of shooting. And when I direct, I don't sleep very much. I sleep about 90 minutes, 2 hours a night. Wow. And so doing that for 6 weeks straight was very difficult. And it was an incredibly rewarding experience, but it was hard in that sense.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting. Stressful even. Now, have you been to Newport Beach before?
Yes. My parents live about a third of the year, just about 30 minutes down the road in Laguna Beach. So I'm actually staying with them for the festival, and I've been coming up here nearly every day to check things out. So, yeah.
And how are you feeling about the festival and about how your film is closing it out?
I'm so excited to be closing it out. It's a wonderful festival. It's I haven't seen a film that isn't great yet. I saw The Water Diviner on opening night. I saw The Passion of St. Augustine, a great Canadian film from Quebec, which is wonderful. And I saw the best short program I've ever seen, War and Short Peace. I thought that was spectacular. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate getting to speak to you.
Thank you very
Great
much.
Meeting you. Joined by Gil Bellows. Welcome.
Thank you. Beautiful day. Great to be here.
I know, it's fantastic. The weather's been amazing all day.
It sure has been. Yeah.
Great. So now what's bringing you out to the film tonight?
Well, the director, Nick Wernham, is a dear friend of mine. I acted in his first short film, and I love the guy, and I'm so happy for him, and had to be here.
Excellent. And do you know much about the film and the storyline?
Oh, yeah. I've seen cuts, I've given notes, but I haven't seen it in its final form. I haven't seen it projected on the screen, and, this is a momentous occasion, and I wanted to be a part of it.
That's wonderful. And have you ever been to Newport Beach before, or the film festival?
You know what? It's so crazy. I haven't. I actually had a film in this festival this year. I didn't get a chance to get down for it. And I had a few friends here who had films in the festival, and they were raving about it. And driving in today, I mean, it's incredible. What a beautiful spot. Everybody seems so into movies down here, and what a location. I wish I'd had a chance to jump in.
I know. Well, you'll have to next year. You'll have to come back and enjoy a little more.
Thank you so much. Hey, this is Gil Bellows. I'm here at the Lido Theater about to see the closing night, No Stranger to Love. This is Newport Beach Television. You're watching it. I'm on it. Peace out.
Joined by Justin Chatwin. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice to have you. So tell us a little bit about your role in tonight's film.
I haven't seen this film yet, but it's a movie about a much sought-after girl who is about to have an affair with a gym coach, which is played by Colin Hanks, and a mysterious hole opens up in her living room. I'd say the film is essentially about love and what it takes to get to the point of being able to love somebody, and it's essentially about two strangers who are living in authentic lives and find each other in really bizarre circumstances.
And are you one of the strangers?
Yeah,
Do you kind of come into the rescue, can we say?
Yeah, I'm the stranger.
Perfect.
I don't think it's much of a rescue. I think, if anything, she rescues me.
So that's our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed closing night at the Newport Beach Film Festival. If you haven't checked it out, go to newportbeachfilmfest.com. Check back periodically because you can find out when the next festival is. We had such a great time doing Festival Forum. I want to thank the cast and crew of Romeo is Bleeding for sitting down with us and talking about their very, very powerful film. And I also like to thank Visit Newport Beach for sponsoring us this entire week. My name is Lamar. You've been watching another episode of Festival Forum. We'll see you next year.